This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Homestand kicks off tonight, 7 games, and it's the first of 3 against the Milwaukee Brewers. And welcome to Busch Stadium. Jim Hayes is here. That's Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin. It is an all-important series beginning tonight. Game 1 of 3, the Cardinals and the Brewers. A lot of games left with Milwaukee. Lots left with Chicago. Only 40 games remaining in the season.
Everybody talks about how much they love, Dan, meaningful games in September. But I'm okay with meaningful games in August. 9 games remaining with the Brewers, 7 with the Cubs, 24 against the rest of the National League. So opportunities for these 3 teams in the Central Division to make some hay. 60% of the Cardinals' remaining games are here at Busch Stadium. 2 of the top sluggers in the NL Central will square off in this game. The reigning MVP, Christian Yelich and Paul Goldschmidt of St. Louis. Be careful with this guy. Cardinals have already given up 8 home runs this year to Yelich. He absolutely destroyed the Cardinals early in the season. Unbelievable what they did. And Goldschmidt on the Cardinals side is starting to swing a lot better. You look at his home runs, RBIs, he leads the club now, and he has hit Milwaukee extremely well.
Dakota Hudson going tonight for St. Louis. Goldschmidt, Yelich, both in the lineup. Should be a lot of fun. Showdown in the Central could come down to the bullpens. We'll break that down across the street. Ballpark Village in our Fox Sports Midwest studio. Brewers Cardinals coming up. Going tonight for the Cardinals, and last time out at the K, Kauffman Stadium. Across the state, he was very good. 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, couple of walks, and struck out 4. Back on track, the young right-hander of St. Louis, Dakota Hudson. Can he stop, though, this guy, Christian Yelich? Can the Brewers stop that guy, Paul Goldschmidt? Should be a lot of fun. The Brewers, the Cardinals. Showdown in the Central comes your way next. Louis Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. By Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the St. Louis area. Find yours at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. Brewers and Cardinals, game #1 tonight. Cardinals just finished 9 games against the Pirates, Royals, and Reds, and went 7-2. Hot, muggy night, 87 degrees with Rick Horton and Jim Hayes. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Dakota Hudson getting the start tonight.
Dakota made a bounce-back start his last time out. He'd had 3 kind of shaky ones prior to that, but very, very good against the Kansas City Royals. 6 innings, and he did not give up a run. And there's his Hyundai pitch arsenal. The slider so important for Hudson, and the sinking fastball at the knees. Danny, if you say sinker, called strike at the knees about 15 times today, he'll have a good day. If he gets that pitch and if he's hitting that spot, he will have a good day.
Last start allowed him to get back on track against Kansas City. For Craig Counsell, the Cubs, the Cardinals, nobody's perfect. And that's kind of the way to sum up maybe the NL Central. Nobody's going to run away with this. His lineup loaded with lefties, presented by GMC. Grisham, Grandal, Yelich, Moustakas, Hira, Thames, Gamel, Arcia, and Davies. I mean, really, you think about it, there's warts on just about every team in baseball, but certainly when you look at the Central right now, it just doesn't seem like there's a clear-cut favorite to run away with it.
The imperfection in the Brewers is not their ability to hit home runs, that's for sure. Their lineup is powerful. Their pitching has been up and down. Their bullpen not as dominant as a season ago. That's been the Cardinals' strength, their bullpen.
First pitch, a ball to Trent Grisham. And that pitch, a ground ball to Wong. 1 away. Around the horn, presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Ozuna, Fowler, and Edman in the outfield. Carpenter, DeYoung, Wong, and Goldschmidt on the infield. And Yadier Molina behind the plate. Around the horn, presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Yasmani Grandal, the switch hitter with 20 home runs, has driven in 61 and looks at a strike. A 1 pitch by Dakota Hudson. 1 ball and 1 strike. Does it seem like it's 5 years now for Craig Counsell at the helm of the Brewers?
Yeah, it seems like it's 5 years since we played the Brewers, actually, since it was the beginning of the season. But Counsell, no, it doesn't, Danny. This game, things happen very fast. And they had such a great season a year ago, winning the division. And again, their bullpen had a lot to do with it.
1 game away from going to the World Series. 1-2 the count. And the next by Hudson. Right down central, and he struck him out.
Well, Hudson's going to get his shot at throwing at left-handed batters. There's 6 of them in the lineup, and one of the ways you attack them is you have that sinker that comes back over the inside corner. You start at their front knee. And again, I just think he's better down. Occasionally you have to go up in the zone. And how you pitch Christian Yelich, well, I don't know, and the Cardinals don't know yet.
Do you pitch to him?
Carefully.
Yelich on Saturday had a couple of home runs in that long game that they eventually won against Washington. He also scaled the wall, made a great play in extra innings. Reigning MVP of the National League and may win it again this year. Cody Bellinger may have something to do with that, though.
Yeah, those two are both having great years again. And I think the answer to how you pitch Yelich is stay away from his power spot. And if he's going to hit a base hit, that's fine. I mean, just be careful with him. Be careful, especially in this power area.
Yelich, couple of home runs against Hudson, 2 for 5. And as we've talked about already, a lot of lefties in the left-handed batters in this lineup against Hudson, and they're batting .307 against him this year. In the dirt, 3-1. So in the first 24 games, these two teams saw each other 10 times, and we haven't seen them since. One of the quirks in this 2019 schedule. 3-1 pitch to Yelich. A beauty in there for a strike, 3-2. Milwaukee comes in 6 games below 500 on the road. And they were 8 games above 500 a year ago. Sometimes, as you know, Rick, you can give a guy too much credit.
Yeah.
But when Yelich has 8 home runs in 10 games,
well,
I mean.
Well, the guy next in line is Mike Moustakas, who's also had 2 home runs against Dakota Hudson. So you don't want to be down 2-0 either. You have to pitch to somebody. And again, it's just a matter of how careful are you. Yelich is hitting .335. Pretty impressive, but that means he's making out 66% of the time.
3-2, and it's way inside. 2-out walk, and here comes Mike Moustakas. So I say it's a quirk in the schedule, but yet maybe the schedule makers all along wanted it to come down to the 3 teams and go head-to-head here in late August, September.
I found it interesting that after Kansas City that the Cardinals were done with interleague play, and then you start to look at, well, who are they playing? Well, they're playing teams in the Central. By the way, they've been great against the Central since the All-Star break. Numbers are terrific.
And that pitch taken low.
16-5.
Hank Aaron, Ryan Braun, Christian Yelich, Milwaukee players with 40 or more home runs, 20 or more stolen bases.
That'd be a pretty good outfield.
Wow. Hall of Famer and MVP, well, 2 MVPs in Ryan Braun and Hank Aaron, so 3 of them. Here's a 1-0 pitch to the former Royal Moustakas. Fooled, 1-1. The Brewers were swept earlier this year right here at Busch Stadium, as it seemed like we began the first month of the season at the Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee.
We knew it well.
Yes, we did. So Zach Davies going tonight for the Brewers against Dakota Hudson. Gio Gonzalez, the lefty, against Michael Wacha. Hauser, Wainwright on Wednesday.
Those 10 games you're talking about, they split them 5-5, and the Cardinals scored 5.8 runs in those games.
Chop to Wong comes in to make the play easily. Hudson gets the red-hot Moustakas, who's now 6 for his last 12 with 3 home runs. Middle of that lineup dangerous. Cardinals coming home half. Back in St. Louis, a couple of switch hitters at the top of the Cardinal lineup. Dexter Fowler and Tommy Edman, the GMC lineup. Then Paul Goldschmidt, Marcelo Ozuna, Paul DeYoung, Matt Carpenter, Yadier Molina, Colton Wong, and Dakota Hudson. Zach Davies 8-5. He was reinstated from the 10-day injured list and starts tonight. Right-handed pitcher Aaron Wilkerson optioned to AAA San Antonio.
And the changeup, his best pitch. The Hyundai pitch arsenal for Davies does not throw particularly hard, and like Hudson, doesn't throw an awful lot of pitches in the zone either. They rely on trying to get hitters to chase, and if they don't, they'll walk a few.
And the 0-1. Taken inside. Ted Barrett, the crew chief, calling the balls and strikes. John Tumpane at first. Lance Barksdale at second. And John Bacon is down at third.
So Davies has missed 2 starts, and he's had a back issue. And again, his changeup is his best pitch. It'd be interesting to see kind of how his motion is and how comfortable he is. A changeup takes a little out of you in terms of your body and how you throw it, the mechanics of it. And he did not go on a rehab assignment. He just threw a bullpen and said he was ready. So we'll see.
Inside, and it's 2-2.
If I had a back issue, I would be standing up straight when I pitch instead of really finishing. And I wonder if we might not see that from it.
Fowler taps it foul. Well, you know, you think about the Brewers, it's the good and the bad. Over the last 2 games, they've had franchise records for home runs hit in a game, 7. And then they allowed 8 in a game. There's the changeup and a strikeout of Dexter Fowler.
Well, that's the signature pitch. He just takes something off it with the grip. It's just 81 miles an hour. But you see it as harder, and you just can't keep the hands back.
Here's Tommy Edman, the switch hitter, and getting a start tonight in right field. Really a balancing act right now for Mike Schilt, who said yesterday, Tommy Edman is a regular for me. You know, I want to see him in the lineup, whether it's at second, short, third, right field, whatever, but he's a regular. So that means someone's got to sit, and that means Munoz or Lane Thomas. Matt Carpenter struggling. He's in the lineup. So it's a balancing act right now to try to get the right fit for this lineup. As Edman taps it back to Davies.
But Edman's versatility really plays well into that situation, because you can start him anywhere. I mean, essentially anywhere on the field he can play, other than catcher.
Defense around the horn presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Gamble, Grisham, and Yelich in the outfield. Moustakas, Arcia, Hira, and Thames on the infield. Grandal is behind the plate. No Lorenzo Cain in that outfield. The bench, it is loaded for the Brewers tonight. Lorenzo Cain, Ryan Braun, Manny Pena, Hernan Perez, who can play anywhere.
Cain has been dealing with several issues, and the one that's bugging him the most right now is an oblique, but he's had a leg issue, a wrist issue, and an oblique, and he's just had several little nagging things. And the thought is that he may play tomorrow, but sitting tonight, and he's the guy that can kill the Cardinals too. Very good player, outstanding defender.
Seems like a long time ago, opening day in Milwaukee. Remember, he had that game-saving catch over the wall off the bat of Jose Martinez.
Right.
Would have been a home run. Outside, 2-2. Jose Martinez slowly coming back, and they anticipate his return sooner than later. And the 2-2. And pretty soon you'll see Harrison Bader and maybe some others joining the club as the minor league season will end, and then you'll have your September call-ups.
Well, you get Tyler O'Neill at some point, and then Martinez and Bader, and the Cardinals will be playing with 7 outfielders.
Right. New defense. Analytically, it says you're going to have good success. 2-out walk, and it brings in Marcell Ozuna. There's Tyler O'Neill. I think the Big Bear is awfully close to going on about a week run of carrying this club. I liked his at-bats over the weekend.
Yeah, he had some great at-bats. Had a 3-hit game in Cincinnati, and everything was a rocket too. He's still, you know, you look at the hard hit balls in the National League, really across all of baseball, and he is up there every year in terms of exit velocity.
Just above 97, which puts him currently in the top 7. So if he barrels one up, he's hitting a rocket somewhere. Line drives, fly balls, hard hit. Cruz, Donaldson, and this man. There's a 1-0 pitch to Ozuna.
I think that would surprise some people to hear that about Ozuna. But when you see him, he has such a violent swing. It's violent, yet it's controlled. I mean, he's got, I would say it's a strong swing, quick bat, but he's got an idea of the strike zone.
I got to wonder if the Cardinals, with a guy like Davies, doesn't throw hard, change up, as you talked about, low 80s, and Grandal, who's had issues at times defensively, would they want to run in this series, and certainly tonight?
I would think so.
I asked Mike Schilt the other day, I said, Goldschmidt, 1 stolen base. Am I missing something? He said, not hurt. And he said, if you really do the deep dive into it, he said a lot of those were on the back end of double steals in Arizona.
When he had 32 one year.
Exactly. Ozuna hits it off the end of the bat. That'll carry to Yelich, and the catch is made. Cardinals strand a runner, and we head to inning number 2. Game 1 of 3. All-important series. Brewers and Cardinals. Christian Yelich, 41 homers. First time up tonight. He walked. All right, Jim Hayes. What are the Cardinals going to do with the right fielder of Milwaukee?
They're going to try to deal with him as best they can. No question about it. Christian Yelich is having another MVP type seasons. He's had his way with the National League this year. His numbers against the Cardinals this season are scary, but just 0 for 7 with 4 Ks in their most recent series with the Cards. Mike Schilt says Yelich is obviously a great hitter, but he says you can't give him anything. Schilt told me Yelich doesn't miss mistakes. Some hitters, you make a mistake, sometimes you get away with it. With Yelich, you typically don't. And Dan Schilt told me there are some similarities to the young slugger Aquino, who the Cards just saw in Cincinnati. Schilt told me with Aquino, you pay for a mistake, you make quality pitches, you get softer contact. The Cards want to see, Dan, softer contact.
All right. Yeah, I'm in, because he hit everything hard, it seemed like, in those first 10 meetings.
It's almost, I'm not going to say comical, but it was almost bizarre.
Yeah.
it's like, not another one. No, not another one.
It was unbelievable. 1-2 pitch. And I'm not saying this is the case at all, so don't read into what I'm saying, but it was almost as if he knew it was coming.
Well, I'm glad you said it, because that's what I was thinking. I mean, and again, not reading anything into that, but some hitters have such good vision, and they pick up things from pitchers, and they have a great feel for what they're doing and what the pitcher's trying to do to them. And of course, when you're hot, that's the way it is. You have a great feel, and you know what's coming, and things slow down for you. And he was definitely in the zone, and has been all year.
Keston Hira. I'm going to give you some numbers here on Yelich that go well beyond the 10 games this year. It's incredible what he's done. Nice pitch by Hudson, strikeout number 2, but 26 games against St. Louis. The numbers, so going back to last year, as you get a look at the strikeout for Dakota Hudson, but in those 26 games, Ricky, 14 home runs, 34 runs batted in. He scored 26 runs, and those are personal bests against any team in that span of time. I mean, he has just tore up the Cardinals.
Runs the bases well. The stolen bases we talked about. Plays a very good outfield. Has 7 assists. I mean, what can he do?
So you going Yelich or Bellinger if you had a vote right now?
I would go for Yelich.
You're turning your back on your Dodger brethren. I'm going Bellinger right now.
I think the Dodgers have so much, and I don't know that you can equate this, and that could make a difference, but they've got so much pop in their lineup all over the place. He's just kind of, you have to pitch to him. And maybe you don't have to pitch to Yelich. I don't know. I think Yelich is, at least at this point, a more complete player. Not that Bellinger isn't, but he's even more so with his base running. Bellinger also a good defender at first base and in the outfield, but I don't think he's in Yelich's category.
And that's hit out of play. Eric Thames, 17 home runs. His playing time has increased since the beginning of the year when we saw him initially 48 runs batted in and batting .253.
I think a lot of people that think about MVP think about the record of the team that the player is on, and I don't. I'm not saying I'm right about that. I just don't. I think it's the best player in the league. Others would say it's the best player on the best team, and if you're going to say that, it's Bellinger, because the Dodgers are the best team, clearly.
Swing and a miss, and Hudson back-to-back strikeouts, and already 3 tonight. Arcia give it everything. Speaking of power and home runs, the Dodgers and Brewers, fewest games to get to 200 home runs. Atlanta, Houston, both on that list.
And 3 teams on that list from 2019, which tells you where the game is.
Launch angle, power, walks, strikeouts. I mean, that's kind of the game right now.
And some might say hard baseball with bad seams to it.
I think that's part of it. This is Ben Gamel. I don't know if you saw or read the article, well done by Bob Nightingale in USA Today, but really interesting comments concerning former players, Hall of Famers with the game today. We had Marty Brennaman on last night or yesterday, and he was rather vocal about where the game is today. And Hudson does not get a called third strike, and both he and Molina were walking to the dugout. And they'll check the swing, and apparently he did not go. And also a tighter strike zone is part of the game today, too.
No question about that. I did think on this last road trip, especially in Kansas City, last 2 games, or 2 games in Kansas City, first one in Cincinnati, the low strike was being called again, and we have not seen that for a while. I think the low strike being called more important to Dakota Hudson than that high strike. The low strike, if you don't get that as a pitcher, you're forced to go right into the wheelhouse.
This year, 36% of all plate appearances, 36%, have resulted in a strikeout, homer, walker hit by pitch. It's an astonishing number. The 2-2. But you know what? It's still the game of baseball. May not be the game that you and I grew up with or played, but I still love it.
But what we grew up with, and it does evolve. Baseball changes, it ebbs and flows. There was a dead ball era in our game, Dan. Think about that. There was a dead ball era where guys were leading the league in home runs with 10. And we went through the year of the pitcher in at least my lifetime. I'm not sure about yours.
68.
In 68. And so I think baseball finds its way, and I trust that baseball will find its way when it comes to shifts and the 3 outcome problem, and they may have to make some tweaks and adjustments to make it happen, but it's a player's game to me. It's their game, and they will, I think, make that happen somehow, some way.
8th pitch of the at bat now, and Gamble lines it into the shift. So did not get the called 3rd strike. Molina having a word with the home plate umpire. We're midway through 2. Brewers and Cardinals scoreless. Spring training a part of your vacation plan next year. Think about heading to spring training, and there's all kinds of vacation packages. Cardinals.com/vacations. 800-892-7687. Cardinals announced their spring training schedule today in conjunction with MLB in a league-wide release as DeYoung looks at a strike. 30-game schedule, which begins the first game, Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium, February 22nd. February 22nd. Cardinals will host 7 different opponents during the Grapefruit League contest. They've got the Twins, the Red Sox, Braves, also the Marlins. What a shocker. The Nationals, Houston, and the New York Mets are involved in that. And that's on the inside corner to strikeout. And we should mention that the Cardinals will break camp on Sunday, March 22nd. And this is also new to the schedule. And that'll follow their game with Washington. They'll travel to Arlington, Texas, and they'll play an exhibition game against the Rangers, Globe Life Field, and open up that new ballpark. So that'll be cool.
You have your travel plans already?
I'm going to call Cardinals Vacations and see what they have for me. Now, wait a minute. I can hold. Yes. I'd like to hear Rick Horton speak afterwards at a barbecue. Great. I'm all over it.
I'm in.
But as you know, what I like to do during spring training is head to the backfields and watch the young guys play, so I probably won't be in attendance to see you do your thing on stage. I actually do work when I'm down there, as opposed to some broadcaster, not sirs.
Huh. Wonder who you might be thinking of.
That's not a shot at Shannon or Rooney or Claiborne or the 10 other guys I work with. 2-2 the count.
Yeah, we have to share you for our own mental health reasons.
Yeah, I'm the stabilizing factor with this. Thank you, Ricky.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
I mean, look at those guys doing their research. They're all over it. They're probably planning their vacation around baseball to watch you speak.
You know I'll be in the backfields, Danny. You know it.
Yep. Lined and a base hit off the glove of Hira. And Carpenter has the first Cardinal hit of the night.
He has such great numbers against Davies. I think that's part of the positive of putting him behind DeYoung in the lineup today. And You know, sometimes when you're struggling, you need to face somebody who you feel good hitting against. You see the ball well. You can tell when he's going to throw a changeup. You just, for whatever reason, you see the pitch coming out of his hand. And there's a good attempt by Hira. By the way, Hira really struggles defensively, the second baseman, throwing the baseball. He's a really athletic defender. He's their #1 pick a couple of years ago, and he's an outstanding bat, and he's had some big hits for them since coming up from AAA. But when they drafted him, he had a bad arm, and it hasn't really gotten any better. He had surgery, and it's just a little bit erratic on the throws, so we'll see if that comes into play this series. He already has 11 errors at the big league level.
Carpenter, the runner at first, and Molina sends one out to left at the wall, and it's caught. Gamble on the run. Carpenter has to hurry up, get back to first, as Yachty gave it a ride, and that's out number 2. Nice play by Ben Gamble. Pretty good jump on that.
Good jump, and he was playing deep enough to be able to make the play. Check for the track and the wall, and then looked back up and caught the baseball. I heard Jimmy talking with you about how important it is for an outfielder to be able to run to a spot. You can't just follow the ball. You have to make a determination where you think the ball is going to go, and then put your head down and run to it, and then look back up and pick up the baseball. Also being able to look back and see where the wall is, and he did all of that well, which of course what good outfielders do.
Here's Colton Wong. Carpenter had rounded second base, so he had to, if you will, retrace his steps. Step on the bag at second and hustle back to first.
And all ball players know this rule, but sometimes you forget it. And he didn't. Matt Carpenter didn't. You have to retouch the bag. If you just kind of go straight back to first base, you're out.
Wong hitting .371 since the All-Star break. And looks at a strike. That's best in the Cardinal lineup. That average since the break, 8th best in Major League Baseball.
And despite the fact that he's been using all fields, the Brewers continue to do what some teams do, overshift on him, in my opinion, because he is not pull happy at all right now.
Here's a 1-1 as he pulls it foul. Nice call, Rick.
I'm not saying never.
Nice call.
I'm just saying he's not happy about it.
I get you back in here. I got to give you trouble.
Yeah, I
missed it.
Yep, I understand. I almost missed it too.
Almost. Wong, by the way, to further your point, as a good partner will do, hitting .316 the other way. So opposite field, .316.
Well, and the numbers, you take the numbers over 3 years, or you take the numbers over 3 months. If you take the numbers over 3 months, he's more of a spray hitter. And I think that's why his average has gotten better. The July was great. The August has been better.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Colton Wong. Outside, and it's 2-2.
Especially with 2 strikes. He has developed, in my mind, more of a 2-strike approach, and that's something we don't see as much in baseball. And the 2-strike approach is shorter swing path, not as long a swing, more direct to the ball, and not afraid to hit the ball the other way.
And Wong out in front against the changeup, pops it up. Hira under it to make the catch. 1-out single by Carpenter. He's left stranded, and we have played 2 from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. There's no score. Growth poster giveaway coming up on August 25th. Cardinals.com/promotions, and this year it features Paul Goldschmidt. Talked to John Mozeliak about Goldie. I said, has this been what you expected? And he said, well, yeah, we were, hoping to get a presence in the middle of the lineup. Took a little bit to get going, but we've got that. Goldschmidt coming into play tonight with a team high 28 home runs, so 2 shy of another 30 home run campaign. He said, we had heard a lot about leadership. We thought he'd played Gold Glove defense. He's really helped us there.
No doubt about that.
But the leadership inside the clubhouse, we had heard about it, and now we're finding out for ourselves more than maybe even we bargained for.
Well, it takes a while for that to develop too. I mean, you're in a new team, and you have to kind of feel your way, and you go into a place that already has leaders. Well, you're not You're the new guy on the block. He's not a very chatty guy. He's pretty quiet, although he's certainly more talkative with his teammates than he would be kind of externally. But again, you have to find your way and then be accepted by where the leadership is, and then understand what the manager wants you to do as a leader. That could be different from team to team.
Little chopper hit to DeYoung off the bat of RCL, one away. Hudson looks sharp early on. I also find it interesting, too, what John had to say about getting a player and a veteran and a leader and a superstar from another team and how they go about their business. You know, it's not, you know, this isn't a homegrown guy. This is someone from a different place, and he's coming with some different looks at the game, and that's not a bad thing.
Well, different place, in a place where he was a perennial MVP candidate. So you don't want him to leave that place, in a sense, in terms of how he prepares and how he does his work and what spring training's like for him. How much does he play in spring? Some teams want to play their guys more, others less. And really, you need to find out from him what his comfort level is on a lot of things.
0-2 on Zach Davies, who's batting 146.
But the reason the Cardinals are first in the National League in defense is partly because of that guy.
Big reason.
And not just because of him catching the ball that are hit to him, but all the throws that come from everybody else.
Well, first time through the lineup for Dakota Hudson. 1 walk and 4 strikeouts.
There's the 4 strikeouts, 3 groundouts, and just 1 flyout. And even that flyout was to the third baseman. That was the ball hit in the air, so no balls handled by the outfielders yet.
Hardest hit ball was that ball that was hit to Carpenter, who was off the line with Gamble up, who actually had been struck out in the at-bat. But strike 3 was called a ball. It was a pitch like that was up in the zone that did not go in Hudson's favor.
This young hitter, Trent Grisham's just 22 years of age, and he finds himself in the leadoff spot for a team that thinks they could perhaps play in October.
And a fly ball to left. There's Ozuna.
And a good player.
This will be an 8-pitch inning for Dakota Hudson. Coming up, it's Hudson, Fowler, and Edman. And Tommy homered yesterday. No score. We're in the bottom of the third, and there's no score. The Cardinals and the Brewers on Fox Sports Midwest. You're about to tell me about the 22-year-old Trent Grisham from Fort Worth, Texas. What do you got on him?
Well, we'll show you next time he comes to the plate. It's about how he holds the bat. And we'll say that the problem is he keeps swinging at the first pitch. And so we don't get a chance to talk about it, but we will next time.
So is the problem the way he holds the bat to force him to swing at the first pitch, or you can't get your story in because he swings at the first pitch?
It's the latter.
Okay, got it. Well, we'll get back to him.
Yeah. I think he's going to bat again.
Probably right. So the Cardinals will have Hudson, who is 2 for 36. Then Fowler and Edman. There's been 1 hit in this game, and that was a Carpenter line drive off the glove of Hira, the second baseman, into center field, and that has been it. 0-2 the count on Dakota Hudson. So Davies was dealing with back spasms, and as Rick told you, threw on the side, did not go down and pitch in the minor leagues. The Brewers have lost each of his last 3 starts as he picks up the strikeout, his 3rd of the night. I have been waiting since we got on the charter from Cincinnati to the ballpark for this, the Toyota key to the game from Rick Horton.
And I was up all night trying to think of it, and this is my Toyota key, and is for the Cardinals offense to outmuscle the Brew Crew. We talked about their 200 home runs plus already, and so they're a powerful team. The Cardinals, when they win, sometimes they can be a powerful team, and the point is you better outmuscle them. And you'd say, well, maybe the Cardinals not much of a home run hitting team in comparison, but the Brewers staff has really been struggling. So the runs that we saw in a couple games on the road trip, like to see some output like that.
It's been odd, really up or down. Oh. I mean, really good or just stagnant with the Cardinal offense. 0-2 the count on Fowler. Struck out swinging on a changeup his first time. We have the Players Weekend coming up. Okay, work with me here. Is Zach Davies is listed at 6 foot, 155 pounds, and there's the hit or miss offense for the Cardinals.
Staggering, isn't it? I'll take the 11 or 13. Actually, I'll take the 6.
There's a ground ball backhanded by Thames, and Davies, all 6 feet, 155 pounds to the bag.
I was
and
just
then they got
looking
the
that
big
up.
man, Thames.
You think he really is 155?
So you got the nicknames on the back of the jersey.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do you think he goes by this weekend?
What would Zach Hulk?
Bat Boy. He says he's been asked if he's the bat boy throughout his career.
Sure he has.
And he's been serious in the story that he tells. He said multiple times on the road when he's not pitching, he goes out in uniform like he is here for BP and shags and gets loose and throws a little bit. And he's had other teams go up to him and say, hey, bat boy, go get this, that, and the other. And he says, I'm not the bat boy, I'm the starter tomorrow. So that's his nickname on the back of his jersey that you'll probably see this weekend.
How about that?
Funny.
Well, it shows how he's mastered his craft at that size to still be able to compete. Again, not a hard thrower. That's not his thing. One of the softest tossers in all of baseball. But he has that outstanding changeup, and he's just learned how to pitch. He can get 90, but he won't stay there.
Here's a 1-2. Edman reaching for it. Backhanded by Thames, and he'll take it himself to the bag. After the single by Carpenter, 5 in a row set down by Davies. Buckle up. Should be a fun 3 nights here at Busch. No score. Top of the 4th. There's Tyler O'Neill. Let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, Tyler has been out with a wrist strain. He's been cleared to resume all baseball activities. O'Neill told me he expects to go out on a rehab with Memphis, possibly as soon as tomorrow. O'Neill told me, I'm finally feeling better now. It's just about getting at bats. Jose Martinez is trying to come back from a shoulder issue. He told me he's now hitting off a tee and doing some light throwing. Dan Jose says there is no timetable for his return, but John Mozeliak says Jose could be out on a rehab at the end of the week if all goes well.
All right, thank you, Jim. No score here in the top of the 4th, and both starters look to be pretty locked in, Ricky.
Yeah, the pitch counts are low for each one of them. There are a lot of first ball hacking going on, and a lot of balls in the infield. It really has not been a lot of action so far. Credit to pitchers with making their pitches. Who's going to make the first mistake? That's the question mark. Don't do it with this guy.
And a strike to Yelich, who walked on a 3-2 pitch back in the first inning. Inside. One and one the count. Yelich, 41 home runs, has driven in 89.
I wonder what the Marlin franchise would be like if for some reason they would have had a windfall of money with their owner and all the money in the world to spend, and they could have kept Ozuna, Yelich, and Stanton in their outfield.
Or at least one of them. You know, Jimmy Edmonds and I were talking about it on the road trip. Luis Castillo. Now, he got beat up by the Cardinals, but he's an all-star this year. I said, Jimmy, how many times have we talked about, well, this guy was a part of the Marlins organization? So sometimes you got to look in the mirror and say, who's evaluating these guys, and what are we looking at?
DeSclafani, the pitcher the next day, was a Marlin. And he hasn't had the kind of career that Castillo has. but still a big league starter and a middle of the rotation guy.
There was an article done in The Athletic. Does a really nice job covering all the sports, and they took a look at the all former Marlins team, and that's in the dirt. I mean, you should have seen some of the names on that list, and it wasn't guys that they said, well, he was a Marlin, then got traded, and they brought this guy in for him. This was their players. These guys were their players, and they're gone. And the return on some of those players wasn't pretty. 1-out walk to Yelich. I guess the question would be now, when you draft as high as they are, Houston did it, Chicago did it, you're not going to miss on some of these players. They're going to be stars. And the question would be, can you retain them? Can you keep them? Can you pay the arbitration years?
First thing you have to do is develop them properly.
Yeah. One out, runner at first. Moustakas grounded to Wong his first time up. Ball one.
And the developing a player properly, I think about the Cardinals, the way they do it, and I'm not saying that the organization has been perfect about it with every player, but you want to stretch a guy and then give him enough experience so he's not out too far over his skis, and that you give him some success. You teach him what the next level is all about, and sometimes you have to be patient with that development. And the problem is, you got an A-ball player. We see teams do this. You have an A-ball player who had a good year. He had 20 home runs and hit 270, and he's in the big leagues the next year. Or a pitcher that, wow, he throws 100, so let's put him in the big leagues, and he hasn't learned pitch B, pitch C, pitch under stress, pitch in front of 40,000 people. All those things that are part of the development process. And you rush them, you give them a bad experience in the big leagues, and they're done.
Popped up. Molina near the screen. He's got it. Nice play, Yadier Molina. And a big out.
I love where Ted Barrett, the home plate umpire, was on that play. And he was smart enough to realize that I've got to be right there to make sure that that ball doesn't hit the screen first. I mean, he's right on it. I mean, he's almost in Yadi's face. I'll give Ted some credit for that. I mean, you got to almost anticipate that could be an issue. If that ball scrapes the screen just a little bit on the way down, it's a foul ball.
I think the best way to put it is that the fence or the wall is an extension of the ground, and just start thinking of it that way, and then it just seems like it's easier to understand. So if it hits it, foul territory, hits the ground, foul ball.
And the outfield wall is when we often use that analogy. A fielder, the ball hits off his glove, hits the wall, then he catches it. Well, is that a catch or not? The answer is no, because it hit the ground without you having possession first.
StatCast AI powered by AWS. Take a look at the lead. It takes into account the speed of the pitcher throwing, how quick he is to the plate, and then the arm and pop-up time of your catcher, Yadier Molina.
83% success rate at that particular lead with all the factors involved. The Brewers and the Cardinals are almost identical in their stolen base effectiveness numbers. They have about the same numbers. The Cardinals have one more, and they've attempted the same number of stolen bases. So both teams have used that as part of their offense.
There's the 0-1 pitch to Hira. And a fly ball into shallow right, racing in Edman. He's got it. Brewers strand a runner, their second of the night, and both times it's been Christian Yelich. No score. Now T-Mobile's connection to the game. Pete Alonso, home run number 40, that sets the National League rookie record for most home runs. Kimbrel, he's been activated, and Zach Greinke, third active pitcher to reach 200 career wins. T-Mobile connection to the game. Pete Alonso, by the way, is too shy of the Mets' all-time single-season record, and he may do it as a rookie. Might do it before September.
Might do it before tomorrow.
Right.
Is over. Seeing Greinke winning 200 games makes me wonder, Dan, what that number is going to be.
Just thinking that.
Down the road for what constitutes being a Hall of Famer. It's not going to be 300 anymore. It can't be for starting pitchers. And some would say, well, wins don't matter anyway, and don't matter as much for sure. But it's going to be harder to make those determinations, I think.
How about home runs? Used to be automatic, 500.
Right.
300 wins, you're in. 3,000 strikeouts, you're definitely in the conversation.
3,000 hits would be
for sure
another one.
It's a different game, and that's just the way it is. Marcell Ozuna lined out to right his first time up, stranded a runner. Cardinals have left 2 on. They have 1 base hit tonight to go along with a walk.
I do think, and I said this earlier about the dead ball era, and I'm not even sure what years those were. I think the teens maybe. And then there was the rabbit ball era that followed that. So it's like, well, we'll make an adjustment. We'll show that era. We're going to hit home runs left and right. And so they went to a more lively baseball. And again, the point is lowering the mound. Whatever it might be, I think the idea of trying to keep baseball as much principled like the game that we love is the task.
Fly ball, shallow left, Gamble with the catch. Ozuna for 2. Which then begs the question as DeYoung will come in, was called out on strikes his first time up. You have analytics and sabermetrics, and the research that can be done in this game to dive in and gain an edge is incredible. But at what point, does it, the pendulum kind of go back the other way, and you don't have as much of that?
Well,
Who knows?
There's a couple of things going on to at least curb that, and I don't think it's going to go all the way back to the beginning, but at least to balance a little bit. You've got Charlie Manuel, who's now the hitting coach for the Phillies. And Charlie's been around this game a long time, and I'm pretty sure Charlie does not own a computer and doesn't care about a computer. And I love Charlie Manuel, but he's an eyeball guy, and so is Phil Regan, another guy that I know who's in his 80s, and he's a pitching coach for the Mets, and they're turning it around. So I think you might see a little bit of that sprinkled in on some teams just to kind of balance off our infatuation with numbers and statistics, and kind of get into, again, some of the principles about what it means to be a player.
To your point, drafting good players, but then teaching them the proper way to play the game. That one goes against Davies, and DeYoung, a deep breath. Had the chance to be on the field before the game tonight, and Paul introduced me to his freshman year baseball coach. I said, not a bad player. He said, better guy. I said, you're right about that. Shallow left again. There's Gamble. And all of a sudden, Davies is locked in. That is 8 in a row. 5th inning rolls in, scoreless game. Lou presents this date in Cardinals history, and we take you back to 2005. The Cardinals come back, beat the Giants 5-4. Walk-off double by our colleague Jim Edmonds. See more at the Summer of Lou and Fuse.com.
Such a sweet swing that Jimmy had. I love the way he would clear his upper half and have that sweeping swing, and his power was incredible. And of course, watch him play defensively night after night. You knew he was the best in center.
Not a bad player. As Thames has a little smile on his face. Tapped it foul. We have 1 hit in this game, and that's by the Cardinals. No score. There's section 140 from the camera of Phil Nichols.
I guess I'd ask you a question, Dan. Am I allowed to ask questions of you?
Of course. I'm not sure I'm going to give you an answer you like, but go ahead.
I wasn't sure if that was something in your contract or something.
No,
we're not allowed to
fine.
ask you questions. All right.
Yeah.
So this game we're watching here,
I love it.
You're talking about the outcome, 3 outcome games.
I know where you're going.
But this, to me, is a fun game to watch because the ball's being put into play. There's not an inordinate number of strikeouts, and the defense is going to matter in this game, and so will stolen bases at some point if a team gets on. Now, of course, a home run will change it too. But
every pitch matters.
Every pitch matters, and that, to me, this is a baseball game, and I like this kind of game. Others would say I want it to be 12-10. I want more offense, but I'm not in that boat.
And then, as you say that, I'm watching Carpenter sprint from third base to go on the second base side of the bag, and DeYoung goes back to his normal spot.
They're moving.
Right. So that's part of the modern game, clearly. The 2-2. And Thames puts it on the ground from the outfield grass, Colton Wong.
So in my mind, a game that produces strategy is fun for me, and a game that's close.
I'm with you. I am with you 100%.
And I've been reminded of this recently by some friends that have said some things about coming to the ballpark. You know, the games that I love are the games that I'm just there with my family, and I go home and I don't even remember what the score was a week later, whether they won that night, because it's the experience of being here and enjoying baseball and having time with my family and just having, I mean, not everybody at the ballpark is watching every pitch. They're watching Fred Bird and they're just talking to each other. They're just doing what they do, and there's plenty of things to do at the ballpark that are nice diversions. You can catch up on your emails.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell your dad how great he is. Now that youngster probably won't remember whether the team wins or loses tonight.
No. I'm not sure you will either. There's one side of the spectrum, and then there's the other. 3-1. And then you can get a lot of texts when we start talking about you and say, hey, I saw you on the game, and now her phone is going to explode with text messages.
Of course it will.
That's how it happens. Back to Hudson off the bat of Gamble. So what is it with Dakota Hudson tonight that's made him so effective?
The sinker is working, and he's throwing it for strikes. It's not out of the zone, and it's at the knees to where they have to swing at it. It's not a. Sometimes he almost oversinks it, and it's a chase situation. They have to chase to be able to try to put that in play, but he has been throwing strikes effectively. Pitch counts low. You can say the same thing about Zach Davies.
6 ground ball outs, 4 fly outs, and 4 strikeouts inside to Orlando Arcia. One of our favorites is Ali Marmol, and his brother is here to visit Ali. There's Ali, the bench coach of the St. Louis Cardinals. And his brother is Ronnie, and he's got a couple of kids. And Danny is a future broadcaster of the Cardinals, so he wanted to check everything out. So Danny Marmol is locked into this game. You know he's not going to forget the score.
You have another partner.
Lock him up right now. I know he'd get the inside scoop. You know, the thing is, too, about Danny, he's more mature than many of my other partners. Hello, Daniel.
Hi.
How are you? You having fun? Good.
You like our view?
Uh-huh.
2 balls and a strike on Orlando Arcia.
I asked Mike Schilt about his uncle Ollie yesterday.
Hit down the right field line. It is tailing foul.
And I asked him, how would you describe what Ollie means to you? And his answer was really pretty lengthy and extraordinary. He said, well, first of all, he is great with people. And you have to, if you're going to be a bench coach, you better be great with people. He is my right-hand man. He is the chief of staff, is the word that he used. He's the chief of staff. So we have several reporting mechanisms every day, all kinds of meetings, people I trust to do their job. But Ollie is able to cull out all of that information and give it to me in a short way, in a condensed enough way that I can act on it. And essentially that's what he is, a chief of staff. And you think about all the meetings that go on in baseball, all the video now, and it's compartmentalized a lot with the relievers here, the hitters here, infielders, etc., that you've got to find a way to bring the information back to the manager. And that guy doing that is Ollie.
What do you think? Is your uncle any good at baseball? Pretty good? Yeah, he's not bad. Talking with Jim Edmonds about Ollie and about the staff, but in particular Stubby Clappin, Ollie Marmol, and Jim will get in uniform at times throughout the season. He said, man, these two guys, they get it. They know how to connect with the players. They understand the modern look at it, and they're going to manage someday at the big league level. There's Stubby.
No question. Ollie's also, he's just so honest and so, I mean, he is who he is. And I asked him, when they had the several plays on the last road trip that needed some kind of really in-depth review, maybe check the rule book. There's plays we haven't seen before. I said, are you the expert on that? He said, no, my goodness, no. That's Mike Maddox.
Yep.
He said, don't pin that on me. I'm in charge of a lot of things, but not that. Mike Maddox knows the rule book. He's a savant with the rule book. He knows page 1 to the last page of the rule book and can quote you everything and is never wrong.
My understanding was with the play in Kansas City, it was Mike Maddox who was screaming at the various runners like, Yachty, stay on the bag at third. You're not out. It was a confusing play for so many.
And Pop Warner knew the rule too because he'd seen it before.
The inside corner struck him out. A strikeout of Arcia. Danny Marmol bringing us some good luck here in game number 1. Tomorrow morning, this will be a historic day in St. Louis. Fox Sports Midwest will televise this special announcement by Major League Soccer and the group working to bring an MLS expansion team to St. Louis. And that news conference will air live tomorrow, 11:30 St. Louis time on Fox Sports Midwest, and we'll stream it as well if you're out of the viewing area on Fox Sports Go. But looks like all signs and indications are MLS officially will be in St. Louis tomorrow.
How about that?
It's awesome. Great news for some very good people and sports fans and soccer fans that have been longing for that day for many, many years.
Well, Danny, on behalf of a lot of St. Louisans that have wanted this to happen and know how much you've been a part of backing that, I think I should thank you on behalf of all of the fans of soccer that know that you helped endorse that, you helped promote that, and you've done a lot of work kind of just on your own on the side to make sure that that they had the support they needed. Of course, they're doing all the work, getting it here, but you are supporting what they're doing, and that has meant a lot to them, and it means a lot to us.
Thank you. Here's Carpenter, Molina, and Wong. So Carpenter is the last Cardinal to have a hit. As a matter of fact, he's the only guy to have a hit in this game. He lined it off the glove of Hira into center field, and that was back in the second inning.
Think about the last game that Dakota Hudson pitched in Kansas City. Brad Keller was the starter, and the Cardinals had no hits against Keller through 6 innings, and it was zip through 6. And so the idea with Dakota is stay in as long as you can and try to keep up with the other guy, and then the Cardinals erupted for 5 runs. So that's a pretty good plan here.
Well, Carpenter with that single now 12 for 25 against Davies. You mentioned probably a major reason why he's in the lineup tonight. The numbers that he's had against this right-hander. So he yanks that one foul. Talked to John Mozeliak today about Carpenter specifically, and he said he tells us he's getting better. We got to take him at his word. He's been with us since 2011 at the Major League Club. We'll give him the playing time. Some of the swings look better than others. And he did mention, though, you get to a point in time where you have to play the players that are producing. You have to.
Well, there's the competing things with Matt Carpenter, the upside of Matt Carpenter, which is a big upside. It's an all-star upside, and we've seen it. And then there's the reality of what you said of we've got 40 games left. And who are our best players today? And I don't know when those two things intersect, but It'll be sometime within the next 40 games. It's not with 10 games left. You can't wait that long. But there's some period of time where, you know, Matt's going to be given his opportunities, has earned it, deserved it. We know how good he can be, but at some point,
you got to do it.
You got to do it because you're trying to compete with Milwaukee and Chicago.
That's right. 3-2 the count on Carpenter with a shift on the right side. Hit out of play.
Now you don't do it. Now here's the other part of the equation. If you're talking about maybe having a few days where Matt doesn't play, and we've been through that already once.
Yeah.
If there's not somebody else that is capable, then you don't worry about it. You just let them play. But that's the other side of this. You've got some guys coming off the injured list. You've got September call-ups that we will be dealing with shortly.
It's a really good at bat.
So there are other options.
And then you have a game like tonight, and you see that everybody's being baffled by Davies, and you look at the Cardinals offense, and he's on base twice. So his single and now a walk, the second walk issued by Davies, and the Cardinals have their first base runner since Carpenter and his single back in the second inning. Brings in Molina. It is a beautiful night here in St. Louis. We had rain right around the 4:45, 5 o'clock, 5:15 time frame.
I'd be okay if the thermostat was turned down just a little bit.
And you speak on behalf of many, if not all. Got steamy here. There's Yadier Molina, flied out to the wall in left field. That was a good play by Ben Gamble to make the catch. So much so that Carpenter went around the bag at second, then had to retrace and get back to the bag at first.
Hardest hit ball in this game?
Yeah, I think so. Gamble also had a hard hit ball to Carpenter, and that's been about it. He lined out. Carpenter running, base hit into right. Oh, I love it. I love it. Hit and run. Runners at the corners and nobody out.
And this is what we love about games like this. The hit and run can be a difference maker. There goes Carpenter, and a perfect guy to do it with, Yadier Molina, who knows how to hit it to the right side. And really the perfect pitcher, too, is not necessarily a overpowering swing and miss guy. So if you just focus on putting the ball in play, something good could happen. And the best thing happened, runners at first and third and nobody out.
Carpenter and Yelich have reached all 4 plate appearances, and now that's the first player outside of those two in this game to reach base. And Goldschmidt also walked, and that has been it. Wong hits it down the right field line. Foul. Just foul. I would say this too, Ricky, that this, as the game is going on, both starters are pretty locked in. It's starting to get that feel and the edge of playoff style baseball and the tension that goes along with it.
Close games will give you that, and games with two teams competing for a division title will give you that. And as we're nearing September, you really start to feel it. Final quarter of the season.
Runners at the corners and nobody out. The 0-1 pitch to Colton Wong. Ground ball hit to second. Wong beats it out. Run scores. That's Carpenter, and the Cardinals grab the first lead of this series.
Colton gets an RBI out of it because the double play doesn't happen. He gets out of the box quickly and just barely beats the throw at first base. And again, situational hitting, you put the ball in play. You can't strike out there. You just can't. And you also can't pop out to the infield there. And those two things are just so demoralizing to an offense when that happens. But Colton gets a job done, gets an RBI. Now, Hudson will be bunting. He has 5 sacrifices. He's been pretty good at it.
Squares early to bunt and gets it down. Grandal to first. Hira covering. Well, you had everybody going after that baseball, and Grandal saw that and had to make sure that Wong was not going to try to go to third. Sixth sacrifice now for Dakota Hudson.
He took the time to fake him back to the bag, but there was nobody there to throw it to anyway. The center fielder wasn't there, so I'm not sure. As the Hudson had to make sure he had a chance to field it, by the way. That's another part of that play. He looks to second. Again, Wong was by himself there, but a perfectly placed bunt by Hudson, and he allowed the catcher to field the ball. He didn't interfere with him coming out of the box. I think that was a good move on his part.
Here's Dexter Fowler. Shift on the right side. Good speed with Wong at second. 1-0 Cardinals. By the way, Wong just one grounded into double play in 62 of those types of situations, and most would have grounded out on that spot because that was a fairly hard hit ball. He could smell and sense that he could get that RBI and hustle down the line.
There's actually a stat for hardest to double up in baseball. Each league has a stat for that. There's a stat for everything, Danny, as you and I know.
Yeah.
And I believe Colton is in the top 5.
1 ball and 1 strike. Fowler has struck out swinging and grounded out.
Better than that, he's number 1.
That's pretty good.
And this is done per at bat. So in 376 at bats, 1 double play.
And now time called. Here's a 1-1 pitch to Dexter Fowler. Wong is running. Little flare. Left field. That ball is down. 2-0 Cardinals. Fowler put it in play. Wong was running. And a 2-run St. Louis lead.
And this is one of the nuances about the shift as Fowler takes the ball the other way, and there's really nobody the other way. Now he hit the ball in the air, so it doesn't matter, but the shortstop or third baseman has to cover third, so there is literally nobody on the left side of the infield with Wong stealing third. And Fowler and Wong have both been taking advantage of using the left side of the field.
Let's see if Dexter wants to run here. Tommy Edman at the plate. And Edman looks at a strike at 80 miles an hour. If you saw Kyle Hendricks pitch against the Cardinals a couple of times this year, you saw changeup after changeup after changeup. That night was a tough evening for Tommy Edman, but he said he learned a lot from it. And he has seen a ton of changeups already in this start by Davies.
I think Fowler is going to try to steal here. I have a feeling. And that's what you want a player to be able to do, back to Tommy Edman, is learn. Stanford graduate has learned a lot of things in his life, but he's also baseball smart, according to Mike Schill.
Well, 1 pitch. Now 0-2.
And it's not necessarily the same thing, Danny.
There's a big difference.
There have been plenty of players in this game that are look smart, but not necessarily baseball smart.
I don't think I was either.
I'm glad you said that.
Come to think of it, thanks a lot, Rick.
See, where would you predominate there?
Well, I'm doing a little self-evaluation here, and it's just not pretty. So I better focus on what's happening here.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Here's the 0-2, and that's in the dirt. See if Fowler wants to run maybe with the ball and 2 strikes. Tommy Edman is 0 for 2. Fowler is running, and it's a changeup. Got him. Strikeout, had him way out in front. 4th of the night for Davies. Inning started with a walk by Carpenter. Hit and run with Molina. Wong beats it out. That picked up at RBI. Sacked by Hudson. Fowler, the 2-out single to bring in Wong. 2-0 as we head to the 6th. Well, the 2 guys that pick up runs batted in that inning. Colton Wong got the Cardinals on the board, and then Fowler, the soft liner to left with 2 outs to score Colton Wong. 2-0. Here is Lorenzo Cain. He'll pinch hit for Davies. So, Ricky, you mentioned the injuries that Cain has been dealing with, the soreness. You got to wonder how well is he moving, swinging the bat, and that might be an indication there.
I mean, as much as we've seen Lorenzo Cain over the years, I don't think I've ever seen a swing like that one.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't mean he can't put a good swing on the next pitch, but clearly he's compromised some, and he's really dealing, as I mentioned, with several little nagging injuries.
1-2 the count. Hudson coming into this inning 11 consecutive scoreless, going back to the start that he had against Kansas City. He and Flaherty, they have stepped it up here the last couple of weeks. Flaherty going all the way back before the All-Star break. Very tardy with that swing, and it's 1-2, and Cain just doesn't look right, does he?
He doesn't. Let's say he doesn't look 100%.
Yeah.
And I guess at this point, if you're Craig Counsell, 80% of Cain is your best shot right here. Now he's got some other pretty good choices on that bench.
Here's a 1-2 way inside,
including Ryan Braun. Hernan Perez, to me, is always a tough out. And the other player on their bench, Manny Pena, is their other catcher.
There's Perez, versatile player. Missed on the inside corner, not by much.
Well, he hasn't been able to put Cain away, and he didn't chase that.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out, and that's 6 tonight for Hudson.
Where the slider's outstanding. And this is on 3-2. Yachty gives him the target right in the middle of the plate, and he starts it there, and it goes out to the outer half. Okay, now we can talk about Grisham. You ready, Danny?
I am ready, but you better be fast.
Well, I'll be fast. He's been swinging at the first pitch, but the way he holds the bat is incredibly unusual. He holds the bat like a golfer would hold a golf club. He has an overlap grip that he did all the way back in high school. It's actually, his thumb is underneath his one hand and his other thumb is up on top of the bat, and no one in baseball I've ever seen do this. And the Brewers told him when they signed him, you can't do this, you won't hit in the big leagues if you do it. So he mired in the minor leagues for a couple years, and it wasn't working the normal way. There's the grip. It's like an overlap grip.
Diving stop to Young, and the pick by Goldschmidt takes a hit away.
Paul DeYoung's defense has been A+ this year. Only 5 errors. His footwork is getting better and better. And how about the range here? And there's Goldschmidt again, able to dig a ball out of the dirt. How many errors has he saved? Several.
Yasmani Grandal 0 for 2.
So Grisham told him, I understand you're saying I can't hit the other way in the big league, but I can't hit. I'm so uncomfortable. I feel like the bat is wobbling in my hands. I have to hold it with my thumb underneath my top hand and my other thumb off the bat.
So did he play much golf? Do you know?
I don't think it's from play. I think he just learned how to do it. There's a better look at it. The thumb is up the bat and the other thumb is underneath his top hand.
Wow.
And once he went back to it, he started to feel comfortable again and then started raking.
Well, it is about being comfortable.
Yeah.
Makes me think about playing golf with Red Schoendienst. He was over 80 years of age. It was over 95 degrees. I'm with Mike Shannon. We're down in Houston. He said, I'm going to play this hole, guys. He steps up with a grip of a baseball bat type grip and ripped it 250 yards down the middle. And he was probably, I bet, Ricky, 84, 85 at the time. And that's not an exaggeration, 250 down the middle with a baseball type grip playing golf. It was unbelievable.
That's what you get for playing golf with Hall of Famers.
Well, I guess so. Taught me my lesson. It's a third walk by Hudson, and unfortunately for him, that'll bring the tying run to the plate, and that is Christian Yelich, who has walked twice.
Well, that raises the question here, how comfortable are you pitching around him now?
Yeah.
It's a little different situation. He's the tying run, but if you walk him and are careful with him, then you bring up the potential go-ahead run in Moustakas.
That is the first Brewer other than Yelich to reach. 2 outs, runner at first, and a pitch inside. And time called by Yadier Molina. So we're going to talk about this situation.
I think I heard the phone ring in the bullpen. Did you hear it?
I did, and I understand why. And now a word from Great Southern Bank.
Ooh, break time. I'll check my balance.
Laundry.
That was white.
So anytime I think golf, I think in St. Louis, Jay Delsing, which then leads me to this. It is the anniversary, if you will, this date 1951. Eddie Goodell was the pinch hitter, and the little person.
Today. It was today.
Yep, this date 1951, 3'7", pinch hit for the Browns, second game of a doubleheader, walked on 4 straight. It was Jay Delsing's father then who came in to pinch run for Eddie Goodell.
Jim Delsing.
Yep. Incredible, huh? And that jersey hangs over the Cardinals Hall of Fame. The jersey of one Eddie Goodell. Here's a 2-0 pitch to Yelich, representing the tying run. And a strike, 2-1. That jersey, by the way, was passed down from various members of the DeWitt family and was worn like at Halloween and stuff. And they said, now hold on here.
Wait a minute. This is a big deal.
The collectible part of this is pretty big. We probably need to grab that. And it hangs over there. The 2-1 pitch. Up the middle. And there is Paul DeYoung. Steps on the bag and gets Yelich. Hudson through 6. We're in game 1. 2-0 St. Louis. The Cardinals Hall of Fame cap is Saturday, August 24th, and that's this weekend. Presented by Edward Jones. Could get a Scott Mullen or Jason Isringhausen cap. Cardinals.com/promotions. Well, the young man that's into the ballgame is from St. Louis, Hazelwood West High School, and he has dealt with Tommy John surgery to get to this point in his career. And the Brewers think that he'll be a fixture in their rotation next year.
He had committed to play collegiately at Mizzou and decided to sign with the Brewers. They picked him in the 2nd round, and I'm sure that's reason enough to go, because that's a high dollar round, and good for him. 2017 is the year he was out and really didn't pitch much in 2018 either. So the ascension to the big leagues pretty quick for this right-hander. Good for him.
And the first batter he'll get is Goldschmidt, followed by Ozuna and DeYoung. He's got a plus fastball, we're told, good slider, and added a changeup this year. He's in relief of Davies. And that changeup, Ricky, and you know pitching inside and out, he was a top prospect, fell out of favor, the injuries, and basically just fastball slider. But when he's added a good changeup, now he's got 3 in the arsenal, and he's no longer a prospect. Here he is in the big leagues. The BJC difference maker, and a look at Paul Goldschmidt and his career numbers against the Brewers. Tonight he has walked in, grounded out, shift on the left side. And the 2-1 pitch to the Cardinal first baseman. Fouled back in a good rip.
This is big league game number 4 for Williams, and has not given up a run yet. And clearly the changeup has been part of his ascension. And yeah, Danny, you have a 3-pitch repertoire. It gives the hitter one more thing to think about.
And Goldschmidt puts it on the ground, taken there by Arcia. Looking ahead to the top of the 7th, it'll be Moustakas, Hira, Thames, with Hudson approaching 90 pitches on the night. And you know where I'm going with that, Mr. Horton.
Well, it's going to be an interesting decision for Mike Schilt to make of when he might take him out based on his special game that he's pitching and the pitch count. I would guess 110 max.
Yeah.
Through 6 innings his last time out, so he wasn't overly taxed there in terms of pitches.
You know, we saw with both Daniel Ponce de Leon and Austin Gomber, remember what they did in their major league debuts, and Mike Schilt was quick to win the game and not worry about the personal accolades on those nights. Here's a 1-0. Ozuna. At times, this right-hander has hit 100 this year in the minor leagues with his fastball. Gets a lot of ground balls. He was at Double-A, and the ground ball rate was near 50%. The 2-0 pitch. Up and in.
As we think more about Dakota Hudson, his high pitch count in 2019 is 112. So let's call that the top end.
This young man, part of the Futures game this year. And a fastball to make it 3-1. He's now 24, and the top pick, as Ricky mentioned, in 2013.
So, Dan, back to your point about the developing the changeup. Just think about the fact that as a hitter, you're Ozuna. Okay, is he going to repeat the fastball in? Will he throw me the slider? Will he throw me a changeup? Even though he's not guessing here, it's not just about guessing. It's about what you might expect him to be throwing you. So that's a little short of guessing.
Grounder, Arcia to his left.
I think too often we just talk about it in terms of, well, for a guess hitter, he's going to be guessing slider or guessing change. Well, there's a level before that where what you're expecting and what your feel is for what the pitcher's trying to do. And when he's got 3 pitches, it's just harder to get that right feel.
So 2 outs and nobody on. And the batter is DeYoung. He is struck out and also flied out to left. Pulled foul. Paul is 1 for his last 14, as we've seen in his career, albeit brief and early, streaky, but that can change with one swing of the bat. The 1 for 14 was 7 strikeouts. Here's the 0-1 pitch. And DeYoung can change it with one swing. Just one, baby. Out of here. Paul DeYoung. Home run number 22. 3-0 Redbirds. The Nissan drive of the game.
He got a fastball, middle in, and hammered it. Home run number 22 for Paul DeJong, the only Cardinal shortstop in the history of the organization to have 220 or more home run seasons.
He knocked out the M in Big Mac land with that line shot. And here's Carpenter, who has been on base twice. Well, like I said, he can snap out of it with one swing. And there's a souvenir for the M.
I'd like to see the authenticator go get that one.
Good luck. We'll see you tomorrow at BP. Exit velocity, the hard hit ball off the bat of DeJong. I remember seeing the I knocked out in Big Mac land, and that one got the M. Up and into Matt Carpenter.
You think Paul will get the bill for that? I'm guessing no.
No, I think Mr. DeWitt would be happy to say, I'll take care of it. And I don't blame him. And if not, Ricky will.
Sure.
I'm not. But I was happy to see it.
And
the authenticator is located right by our cameraman James down there, and he whispered to James, and I'm being serious, he said, I am not going to go get that ball. Not a chance.
Thank you, James, for letting us know.
Thank you. Here's a 2-2 pitch to Carpenter with 2 outs. Puts it in play, and a nice play by Thames. Paul DeJong with home run number 22, and Mr. M, you have a souvenir. Big Mac land. 3-0. Dakota Hudson, and tonight, thus far, Budweiser player of the game. There is his line, and if you just joined us, take a close look at it. Something special brewing here in St. Louis. 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, 92 pitches. DeJong with the home run, and also Paul made one of the best plays of the night, and that was last inning on that diving stop by DeJong on the ball, hit by Grisham up the middle to take a hit away. Here's Moustakas, and that's strike 1.
Slider's been very effective for Hudson, and he's a sinker ball guy, and that's certainly been part of it. But the slider has been swing and miss worthy, or tie up these left-handed batters and weak contact. We've had several cases of those.
Here's the 0-1. Missed in. You know, Paul DeJong, and Ricky mentioned it earlier, but the defense to match the power that he has had. Fielding percentage is first among shortstops. Double plays also first. And that's strike 2.
I was really impressed with his footwork on the road trip. There were several plays where it was about footwork.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Moustakas, and that's down and in.
And that was power work, hitting that ball up into the M. Did that surprise you that he's the only shortstop in Cardinal history? Yeah, I started thinking about somebody had to have done that, but
I thought
no.
Renteria. I thought then maybe Johnny Peralta.
Johnny Peralta did it once.
And that's taken outside, and the count runs full, 3-2. He's also been durable, as DeJong has played in 121 of the 123. 3-2 pitch and a chopper to first, and taken there by Goldschmidt. Moustakas over 3. Kubota power stats, the highest slugging percentage against off speed and breaking pitches. Hiram and Yelich both in the top 4 Major League Baseball. The second baseman is struck out and also flied to right. 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Falls behind early on, by the way, Ricky, and this next pitch will be number 100 for Hudson. He was falling behind and still finding ways. Here's the 1-0.
A couple of different times he was able to throw sliders when he was behind in the count to get back into the count.
He is 12 of 23 first pitch strikes. His highest career pitch count in Major League Baseball was 112, and did that against the Angels. I don't remember that from that day. I remember Pujols' home run, though. And now there are 2 strikes, 2-2. That was DeYoung's first home run since back on June 6th. The last 12 had been on the road. And now it's 2-2. The next to Hiram. And he did go. It's a strikeout of Hira. He can't believe it. And it's strikeout number 7 as he has words with our home plate umpire.
Well, Yachty was asking Ted Barrett to ask for help, but he didn't really even need help. He just called it himself. So does he go or not? There's the swing. Yachty's asking for help, but Ted went ahead and raised the right arm anyway. Here's the swing. Oh, yeah. I would say he did.
And now it's Eric Thames. Thames has struck out and also grounded out. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Pitch number 104. And strike 1. The only blemish for Hudson in this ball game, 3 walks. 2 to Yelich, 1 to Grandal, and that has been it.
That's a blemish I could deal with.
You bet. In the dirt, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
By the way, Hudson is due up 3rd.
Cardinals with Gallegos loose and ready to come in if need be. That's out of play. 1-2. As the drama starts to build a little bit here at Busch Stadium. It's a nervous clap. The home fans who now come alive. The 1-2. Yanked foul. Thames way out in front. The question will be for Mike Schilt, and it's a tough one. You're at 107, at least 108 pitches, and as Ricky mentioned, he's coming up.
Well, here's one of the thoughts that you have as a manager.
What do you do?
You got to decide whether you would let him go 9 or not. And if he's not going to go 9, it doesn't matter whether he goes 8.
Good point. Here's a 1-2 pitch.
And that's part of the hard decision that he made with Ponce de Leon last year.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Thames. Shift on the right side. The next by Hudson. Spoiled. Mention how lefties came in hitting .307 against him, and they are 0 for 14 tonight as Craig Counsell stacked his lineup with left-handed batters. Then again, if he gets Thames, he may tackle Mike Shildt and say, not a chance. I'd love to find out. The 2-2 inside corner and also down 3-2. You had those blow-up innings and then settled in, and this July and August, to look at that. The 7th full count that he has had tonight, and Molina wants to talk it over. The Cardinals, looking ahead to the bottom of the 7th, will have Hudson coming up. It'll be Molina, Wong, and Hudson due up 3rd.
I don't know whether Yachty just felt like he needed a breather from the pressure and depressurize the situation with a 3-2 count, 3-0 lead. I'm sure he's feeling pressure, but I'm sure he's enjoying it too.
Pitch number 111, and he walked him. The 4th walk issued by Hudson, a 2-out walk. And Mike Shildt going to the home plate umpire, and this will be a double switch. He will come out of this game. Here's some of the grumbling and moans and groans from the faithful, but you're also going to get a huge, loud ovation coming up for Dakota Hudson.
It's the right choice.
Gallegos will face Gamel. And we'll just let you watch Mike Shildt, see the conversation and the reaction as we head to a break. Trying to figure out the double switches here and the moves for the Cardinals defensively as Lane Thomas has come in and played center now, and you got Fowler shifting to right, and I believe Edman has gone from right to 3rd. New pitcher Giovanni Gallegos. This is Gamel, and the first pitch is strike. Cardinals really wanted to save Gallegos potentially over the weekend because of all the lefties that Milwaukee has, and he's been so good against left-handed batters. Giovanni Gallegos.
Been good against everybody. Strikeout rate is high. There's the new right fielder, center fielder, 3rd baseman.
On the ground, and there's Colton Wong. Gallegos gets his man. It's time to stretch. What's turning out to be a fun night thus far here at Busch. The August t-shirt of the month, there it is, and you can find out more at cardinals.com/promotions. It's presented by StubHub. Rockies will be here. A watermelon design to celebrate summertime. Here's Yadier Molina. Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. 3-0. A total of 4 hits in this game, all by St. Louis. We are in the bottom of the 7th. And this will be the 2nd inning for Devin Williams, young man from St. Louis, who gave up a home run to DeYoung back in the 6th inning. Took over for Davies, who went 5 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, struck out 4 and walked 2. And a ground ball that's hit to 3rd. Moustakas with it. 1 away.
Still like this kind of game, Danny?
Now more than ever.
Right.
And you?
Yeah, you better believe it.
Here's Colton Wong, who had a couple of key plays offensively in this game. Beat out a double play, potential double play off his bat. Led to a run batted in, his 45th. Drove in Carpenter, who walked and scored. And then his speed by beating out the double play led to another run.
Set up because the Cardinals had a successful hit and run, which is still one of the most fun plays in baseball. You've got running, hitting, movement, everything going on at the same time. And when the hitter does his job, the runner does his job, you end up with a good result, and you end up with a 2-0 lead, which is what happened.
1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals picked up 2 runs in that inning. That was in the 5th, and then 1 in the 6th on the DeYoung home run. And Wong hit by the pitch.
Well, Colton's pretty good at this. 12 times to lead the Cardinals, and top 10 in the National League, and that one
off the hamstring.
It was 94 miles an hour. So with 1 out, it's Lane Thomas, who was part of the double switch in the top of the 7th inning.
I wonder what it would feel like if somebody threw a pitch 94 miles an hour and hit me in my hamstring. I'm not even sure I still have one.
Well,
but let's say.
I really don't want to find out, but I'm with you. It would hurt.
Let's do it.
Oh, I'm good. And I think since you're so inclined to have this happen,
Pre-game feature. Pre-game feature.
Pre-game feature.
You and I both.
Again, I think this is you on a limb.
We'll let Ank throw it. And we'll just take, and he's not 94 anymore, but he's pretty good. And we'll take it off the hamstring, and we'll just see what kind of bruise happens.
I'm good.
Come on, Danny, you're tougher than that.
No, not really. See if they want to run with Wong here. He's not running, and Thomas lines it to short, and it is a double play. Arcia snagged the liner and doubles up Wong. It was a bullet off the bat of Lane Thomas, and Wong is doubled up, and that sends us to the 8th.
Good at bat, bad result.
Dakota Hudson, 6 2/3, no runs, no hits, 7 strikeouts, and 4 walks. Gallegos got the final out last inning, and that's hit down the right field line and out of play. Orlando Arcia. Then we'll see a pinch hitter, and Trent Grisham. Hyundai pitch arsenal on Giovanni Gallegos. If the Cardinals are to get where they want to be, which is a win tonight and maybe do it in spectacular fashion, they still have to go through Christian Yelich. That'll be an error on DeYoung, his 6th of the season.
Well, you just take it for granted that he's going to make the play. He's been so good. And I don't know if the glove came up too soon. No, it just hit off the heel of the glove is all.
And the batter will be Ryan Braun. Ryan Braun 4 for 24 as a pinch hitter this year. 284 the average, 18 homers. He's driven in at 55. Braun pinch hitting with nobody out and 1 on here in the 8th. And Braun gets underneath it. Out to center. Lane Thomas calling for it, and he has it for the out.
Boy, Danny Braun's not the player he used to be, but he's still a dangerous guy with a bat in his hand, isn't he?
No doubt about it. MLB.TV. Watch games, highlights, stats, news, and more. MLB.TV. So Kane and Braun have been used off the bench. They're left with Pena and Perez. Here's Trent Grisham. Grounded into 2 double plays this year. And again, Ricky talking earlier about the unique grip of the Brewers leadoff man.
And if you can look closely at his bottom hand, and the thumb will be underneath his top hand. So he puts the thumb up on the bat and the other hand on top of that, and that's really basically an overlap grip for a golfer.
Yachty helped get that call.
And I've never seen anybody have a grip like that.
It's unique, that's for sure.
I've seen golfers, as you mentioned earlier, have a baseball grip, but not the other way around. And you're right, Yachty's frame job was
pretty nice.
Fortuitous.
Yep. 1 ball, 1 strike. Grisham is grounded out to second, fly to left, and then the diving stop by DeYoung. Off the plate. 2 balls, 1 strike. Seven strikeouts along the way for Dakota Hudson in 111 pitches. Two balls and 1 strike. And the next by Gallegos. 2-2.
I think that was a changeup from Gallegos. We don't see very many of those. His slider is just top notch. And you can't tell, maybe that was a slider that just didn't break much, but it functioned as a changeup up in the zone.
If the switch hitting, Grandal on deck. The 2-2 pitch to Grisham. Fouled back. When you look at the night for Dakota Hudson, it was 9 ground ball outs, 4 flyouts, 7 strikeouts to get through 6 2/3. And at 111 pitches and a walk that was issued to Thames, Mike Schilt pulled him. Then Gallegos got a ground out. Inning was through. Arcia reached on an error to start this inning. And Braun a fly out to center. The 2-2. Popped up right side. Fowler coming in. He's got it for out number 2.
Well, it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. I would love to see Christian Yelich hit in the 9th inning.
He's on deck. So if Grandal would reach, that means that Yelich would represent the tying run, and because of that, Andrew Miller is up and throwing in the Cardinal pen. Yelich homered against Miller earlier this season. You may remember into left center. It was just a screamer line drive at Miller Park. He's on deck.
You apparently got my drift.
I did, and I've been thinking about it. And so is everybody else in the ballpark. A clean shaven Andrew Miller. 2 outs, runner at first. Yasmani Grandal. First pitch, strike 1. This side of the plate, 254. Right side of the plate, it is 258, but the lesser side in terms of power. He's got 20 home runs with 14 coming from this side of the plate. Cardinals love Gallegos against lefties, so they feel okay in this spot. Maybe extending him a bit. He pitched twice over the weekend against Cincinnati and had a rather lengthy appearance yesterday. Lefties only batting .131 coming into play tonight against Gallegos.
That's something we haven't talked enough about, or I haven't anyway, about Gallegos, is his durability.
Yes. And the 1-1 pitch to Yasmani Grandal. 1-2.
He just threw that by him up in the zone. He goes up in the zone, then he goes down in the zone with that slider.
And the 1-2 off the mask of looked to be Molina.
Boy, caught him pretty squarely. Not only don't I want a 94-mile-an-hour fastball off my hamstring, I don't want that either.
And a liner that is fair. It's a fair ball down into the corner. And the first hit of the night clean off the bat of Grandal. And now you think about what's coming to the plate. And that's Yelich.
And you think about first base open.
And Mike Schill will go to his bullpen and bring in the lefty, Miller, because after that, even if you walk Yelich, you've got Moustakas. A clean hit. Yasmani Grandal down the right field line. Mike Fiers, by the way, is the only pitcher in baseball this year that has thrown an individual no-no this season. They've all been combined no-hitters, and the Cardinals were 4 outs away from that. So nearly history here at the ballpark, and instead, Cardinals thinking, let's get a win. 3 St. Louis. The Chevy called to the pen, Andrew Miller, in his 56th appearance. You want drama, you got it here. Pennant race, August. 2 teams that'll beat up on each other for the remainder of this regular season. And the reigning MVP representing the tying run, Yelich 2 for 4 with a home run that I spoke about earlier. And then the man on deck 3 for 14. So pick your poison here. You either got Yelich with 41 homers or Moustakas with 30. And looks like they've made their decision.
But Moustakas was expecting it because he was already headed to home plate. And this is not an easy guy to pitch to either. With the numbers for Moustakas and the downside of walking Yelich, I can tell you 1,000 reasons why there's upsides to walking Yelich. But the downside potentially is now you've got to go ahead and run at the plate.
And a grounder. Wong is there. Miller gets his man. Brewers strand. The bases loaded. Cardinals pitching is combined to give up just 1 hit. It's 3-0. Cardinals baseball brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. By Missouri Baptist Medical Center. Doctors call it world-class medicine. You'll call it Mobap. And by Ford, the official car and truck of the St. Louis Cardinals. The top of the lineup for the Cardinals here in the home half of the 8th, and it's 3-0. We've seen a total of 5 hits, and the Brewers just picked up their first hit, and it was just inside the right field line off the bat of Yasmani Grandal, and that has been it. Chevy called to the pen, and it's Jay Jackson.
Jackson's a 31-year-old right-hander. It's his second time in the big leagues. He was in the big leagues for the first time in 2015 with the Padres for just 6 games, worked his way back. The Brewers have struggled with their bullpen. They are 18th in baseball with their bullpen after having such a solid season last year. Cardinals are 3rd in all of baseball with their bullpen this year.
And the first pitch to Fowler, taken for a ball. Had a bloop single to left, coming with 2 outs in the 5th. That made it a 2-0 lead. And it scored Colton Wong. Here's a 1-0 pitch by Jackson. 1 ball and 1 strike. Thinking ahead here to this 9th inning, you've got Hira and then Thames and Gamble, 2 lefties. Pena and Perez left available position players from the right side for Craig Counsell. We'll see how he wants to play it. And the 1-1 pitch to Dexter Fowler.
You also want to see how Mike Schilt plans to play it, because Andrew Miller is going to be an important piece against the Brewers with all their left-handed bats. Of course, Gallegos too, as you mentioned. Not afraid to use him against lefties. But do you have an extended outing for him, or do you let him pitch to some more lefties in the 9th, or do you go to Carlos?
And the swing and a miss by Dexter Fowler. The strikeout. StubHub, place to get your tickets even after the first pitch is delivered. StubHub, official partner of the Cardinals.
It appears that Jackson does not have to go to the rosin bag, because he's got it right on top of his hat. You can't see it with that view, but the back view,
it's all over it.
It's all over it is right. There it is. That's BYOR. Bring your own rosin bag. I guess BYORB. Look at that.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Tommy Edman. Hitless tonight with a strikeout.
Would it surprise you that in all my years of being around baseball, I never touched a rosin bag with my hand?
Not one time?
No.
Seriously?
If it was near the mound, I would kick it instead of picking it up and moving it.
Now, there's also a piece of equipment there on the mound that is critical to any pitcher, especially on a wet, rainy night.
The Roboski.
That's right. Here's a 1-1. Al was just thrilled when they instituted that piece right there.
You may or may not know, Danny, and you've not heard because you're busy, but on the radio side, it is always referred to as the Roboski.
As it should be.
Yes.
I could hear Al mumbling, grumbling, maybe throwing something at his TV. The 2-1. Only thing they ever did for a pitcher since '68 was add that. There's no foul territory. Bats are harder. Seams aren't up. Balls are harder. That is the only addition since 1968. He is not happy right now.
No, he's not.
Hence the mad Hungarian. The 2-2 pitch to Tommy Edman. Laces it into right field for a base hit. See if the Cardinals want to be aggressive here with Tommy Edman and his 8 stolen bases. Our Budweiser What's on Tap, both are 6:45 starts. Gonzalez, Wacham, Hauser, Wainwright. And we'll have it for you on Fox Sports Midwest as we'll come your way at 6. Last time the Cardinals were close to a no-hitter at this ballpark, it was Michael Wacha who was on the mound. Now, Jack Flaherty had one going on a day game, and I believe that was against the Phillies, but it was Wacha against Washington. He was 1 out away. And then a high chopper by Ryan Zimmerman just over the glove of Michael Wacha, and it was a clean hit. Pete Kozma charged, tried to make it close, and just short.
So frustrating, wasn't it?
It really was. So the last to throw a no-hitter for the Cardinals still is Bud Smith. And that was against the San Diego Padres in 2001. Oddly enough, I was just looking at that scorecard last night. I have it hung. I was doing the game with Mike Shannon on radio that particular night in San Diego. And it's signed by Bud, Mike, Jim Jackson, our producer engineer.
Nice.
And it was his no-hitter at 130 plus pitches. Here's a 1-1 to Goldschmidt. The last time the Cardinals were no hit was Johan Santana at Citi Field in New York.
Some say.
On a ball that was hit down the third base line, ruled fair, but replay showed.
Carlos Beltran?
Correct. It was foul. Would have been the 10th no-hitter in Cardinals history. The Cardinals never have had a combined no-hitter.
Bob Forsch on there twice. Bob Gibson is on every pitching list. And I didn't realize how important it was at the time, but I was 4 outs away from being on that list. And you'd have had a signed card from me up in your
I would have loved it.
Office. Didn't seem like that big a deal at the time. Now it does.
I bet. Really, it's history. It's immortality. It's something that can define you.
And I will say, as we were getting towards the end of this game and Hudson came out, I don't have the same feeling about a combined no-hitter than I do an individual accomplishment.
Yeah.
I can't explain why, but it's just different.
Usually, not always, but those guys that are throwing the no-hitters themselves are on fumes at the end. The drama is so high.
Right. That's right.
Here's a 1-1. By the way, I heard from Al Hrabosky, and he's let me know that I don't throw things at my TV. I only throw them at the person.
So, if I were you, I'd take a different route home tonight.
Al, I don't know if you're working the post game. I don't think you are, but if you are, I am taking a different route home. It'll be Rick Ankiel, I understand, and Jimmy Ballgame together with Scott Warman. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Paul Goldschmidt. 3-0 our score. Check on Edman. And if not for, unfortunately, I know it's going to eat him alive because he cares so much, like all these guys do. But the error by DeYoung, you know, if you don't commit the error, is it a 1-2-3 inning? Probably. You don't know. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Paul Goldschmidt. Line to short. Arcia fires back to first. Edman back in safely.
But I would say, even on that, Dan, that if Dakota Hudson was still in the game and that happened, it would eat him alive a lot worse.
I would agree, for sure.
It would have a different feel for him.
Extends the ball game, pitch count, innings, all that stuff.
Right.
And Cardinals don't get to that spot without him making a diving stop up the middle. And obviously they don't have a 3-0 lead without his home run. Here's Marcell Ozuna, 0 for 3.
There are very cool individual things that happen in this game. That some of them are rare and they'll happen, and you just don't know when it's going to happen. And there it is. Bud Smith throws a no-hitter, and you did not expect that day when you went to the ballpark.
That's
I'm
right.
sure. And so but the reality is, it's still a team game at the end of the day. You win as a team, you lose as a team, and individuals can do pretty cool things like hit a ball in an M.
It happens.
I woke up this morning, I thought, I wonder if somebody will hit the ball in the M. No, I didn't think that. But it happened, and there it is. And I bet it's not there tomorrow. What do you think?
I bet it's here by BP. I think it still is here at BP. I think that's what happened when they knocked out the eye.
And how do you get it out? And how do you change the light bulb?
Well, here I think what happens is they take like the one, I don't know what you call it, but a truck that is able to elevate a lift and get up there. It's not going to be somebody walking out there, I guarantee you. And if it is, Rick will volunteer. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Marcell Ozuna. Soft liner into center field. We head to the ninth, and it's a 3-0 St. Louis lead. Fun night here at the ballpark. In St. Louis, with Rick Gordon, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes with us as well. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Miller came into the ballgame with runners at second and third, 2 outs. Yelich up. They intentionally walked him, and then Moustakas grounded out with the bases loaded to end the threat. This is Hira, followed by Thames and Gamble. 0 for 3 tonight with a pair of strikeouts. Remember, the Cardinals dropped 5 of the first 6 against Milwaukee, and now they're trying to win their 5th straight against the Brewers. If you're just joining us, Dakota Hudson, 6 2/3, scoreless baseball, 111 pitches. The one hit allowed was off of Giovanni Gallegos with 2 outs in the top of the 8th, a double for the first hit for Milwaukee and their only hit down the right field line.
You and I were talking about Andrew Miller after his last outing. He walked the batter that he faced, and we both kind of had the thought, just watching him pitch this year, that he actually pitches better the more he pitches, that his command's better. And be interesting to see whether that's true down the stretch here.
Again, we're on the air tomorrow at 6. Michael Wacha on the mound for St. Louis. Game number 2 of this series. If the Cardinals can hold on, they would be 3 in front of Milwaukee. And the 2-2 outside, 3-2. Talked about it earlier, but the Cardinals inside the division, 16-5 in the Central since the break. 3-2 pitch by Miller. Ground ball. That is fair. A long throw. Edman whips it over to first for the out. I wonder if Hero was trying to call for time, and you see him there talking with the home plate umpire. He didn't get it. And that ball stayed fair.
It was definitely a fair ball. He couldn't have been arguing that or the fact that he's out at first base, but he's still hot about something. Yeah, I'm not sure what it was. That ball was fair. I don't think there's much question about that. And that, of course, is unreviewable. I'm not sure what his beef is.
This is Manny Pena at the plate for Eric Thames. Pena pinch hitting against Miller. Home plate umpire is Ted Barrett. He's also the crew chief. Wasn't overly egregious, I thought. May have initially tried to call time, didn't get it, and play ball.
I didn't see anything there. Unless he was doing it verbally.
Cardinals had the back-to-back shutouts against Kansas City. And trying to pick up their third shutout in the last 7 games. The 1-2 swung on and missed. First strikeout for Miller.
Well, Andrew Miller knows how to pitch in the 9th inning. He's done it before. That's the fastball up and away. And it's one of 2 things with him, fastball or slider.
And the final hope, Ben Gamel. Nasty slider. Gamel 0 for 3. Lined out to third. Grounded back to the pitcher. Grounded out to second. Some on their feet here at Busch Stadium. The 0-1. Just off the plate, 2 balls and 1 strike. The 2-1. Fly ball left field. Ozuna giving chase near the sidewall, and that's out of play. And Milwaukee here in game 1 down to their final strike. Inside. 44,843. 44843.
And they have not been disappointed.
3-2 pitch. Fly ball. Left center. Lane Thomas. He wants it. It's going to be Ozuna, and he takes it. The Cardinals win it 3-0. Hudson, 6 2/3. No hits. Gallegos, an inning, just 1. Andrew Miller, an inning and a third, and he was dominant. The pitching was dominant, and the Cardinals win it 3-0.
It's really Dakota Hudson's night. He was spectacular. He set the tone for this game, and in a game the Cardinals wanted to get off on the right foot with a Central Division foe. They take the Brewers. The Brewers now 3 games behind the Cardinals. And I love the hit and run that led to the first couple of Cardinal runs.
They've got it all going for St. Louis. Fun night here at the ballpark. The Cardinals were looking for a combined no-hitter. They'll take the win. And a 3-game lead in the Central over Milwaukee.